Hello. A lot of motoring journalists will tell you what's wrong with an EV with an LFP battery, and yet the people who watch my channel, who actually own them, will tell you how great they are. So today I'm going to look at the 5 biggest truths or lies, and I'll let you decide. Hello folks, I'm Nigel. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you can consider subscribing and liking. It really does make a difference. And thank you to all the existing subscribers, very much appreciated, getting close to 2,000, and if you can help me along on that journey, that would be fantastic. LFP batteries, truth or lie, number 5 is insurance. A lot of people say, well, you know, it's way too expensive, and there were some scares a few years ago. EVs were being blamed on fires, and so insurance company put up the rates. But I'll put on the screen now what my insurance has been, and I've insured it for 5 years, and I think you'll be surprised. I mean, the first year was 378, second year was 355. That's for a Tesla Model 3. Yes, I know I'm an old git, and it'll be a lot more if you're 18 and live in a dodgy area. The dearest year was 2023, the year of the fire scares, which were never true. They always turned out to be diesels. 2024, £406. 2025, this last year, £384. So that's number 5, insurance. Obviously, if you're buying a Tesla Model 3 or Y, they are a performance car. Even if it's the basic model, it's still going to be doing 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds, about 5.8. And if you buy the performance of the long range, it's even faster. I always remember my Audi A3 that I tested once. It took about 15 seconds to get to 60 miles an hour. But it was a stop-start, so it was quite nice that when I stopped at traffic lights, that sort of thing, the engine turned off. So LFP stands for lithium iron phosphate. It's not in all EVs, but it's in a lot. It's in many of the BYDs, also some Citroens, Fiats, Teslas, Geely, Kia, Leap Motors, Mazdas, MGs, Toyotas, and Xpeng. But it seems that as time goes on, more and more manufacturers are including the LFP battery. The numbers are growing. One of the advantages are that you can charge it to 100%, and they're cheaper and they're safe. Okay, number 4 reasons not to buy an EV with an LFP battery is range. Well, this one always annoys me when I hear people saying, well, an EV is fine for knocking around the town, but it's no good on long trips. Well, I suppose to be fair, it probably depends on the EV you buy. You buy a Tesla, you can go anywhere in Europe, anywhere in this country. There's enough superchargers all over the place, and really not a problem. You just reverse in and plug in. And of course, when you're on the continent, the beauty of that is you've not got to get lots of different cards for different public charging, and it's quite wonderful. And Jen and I have had a great time. Portugal, Spain, Scotland, top of Scotland, bottom of Cornwall. It's been absolutely great. Now, it's true, if you buy a 10-year-old, maybe Mini or one of the Nissan Leafs, yeah, sure, that's probably not going to get you around Europe. But majority of cars now, the range is getting better and better, and it depends what car you had. My very first car I ever had was an old Ford Anglia, and I was reluctant to go more than about 40 miles in that. That was petrol, because the engine used to overheat. So, you know, it's changed so much, and as far as I'm concerned, you can go anywhere you like and go around the world in an EV, especially if you buy the right one. Okay, number 3 reasons not to buy an electric vehicle with an LFP battery, and that is the time it takes to charge. A lot of EV presenters who like getting negative views hang around public chargers for hours, making issue out of the fact it's taking too long to charge. Well, the reality is you go and do something else. You go to the loo, you stretch your legs, know where you're going, so it knows you're going to a particular supercharger, and it starts preconditioning. So when you get there, it's nice and warm, and it will charge very fast. If you don't tell it you're going there, it will charge very slowly. If you get up in the morning, let's say where there is a supercharger, and you take it to it, it'll be terribly slow. So you have to do it the night before where you arrive or precondition it. Now, motoring journalists know this, and some of them seem programmed to absolutely hate electric vehicles. So they do all the things and they go to the most expensive ones, and they try and put you off buying. And it does annoy me, because then people believe this nonsense kinds of comments. Majority are positive from people. In fact, I would say almost 100% from people that have electric vehicles. All the negatives were from people that don't have an electric vehicle, which I find quite remarkable. And at home, you just plug in and go. Now, I think the top three are to do with charging. So time charging is very, very quick, and at home it charges where you're doing other things, and you go down and you unplug. And because R. Simmons made the point that it's much faster if you can charge at home than going to a petrol station where you have to stand there, put the glove on because of the smelly diesel or petrol, and it's much faster, and he worked it out over the year, and it's a great video. Number two, public charge costs. Well, you don't have to go to the most expensive, many owned by oil companies, many owned by legacy automakers that really don't want you to buy an electric vehicle. Some of them are making them, albeit very, very expensive. Now, the Tesla superchargers are around about 40 to 42p a kilowatt hour, but they do a discount at night, and you can go at 7 in the morning and get them from between 21 and 23p a kilowatt hour, which is cheaper than you can charge daytime rate at home. My calculations are that based on my Tesla Model 3, which gets 4.2 miles a kilowatt hour, that's over its lifetime. Charging at a Tesla supercharger is around about half the price of petrol, depending on the car you have, coming at about 9p a mile, which is way cheaper than the cheapest petrol or diesel car. And if you're charging before 8, you're getting it at almost a quarter. So don't go to those expensive ones. There may be times that you have no choice, okay, but still overall, if you are charging at home, and don't worry, we're going to get to the number one, charging at home, what that's all about in just a minute. Occasionally, and do a top up. It's a bit like on the motorway. You don't want, who fills up at a motorway? Absolutely not, unless you're a rep and it's all on company accounts and nobody really cares. No, you don't. You might just top up the most expensive, but most of the time there are way, way better examples. Number one, home charging. Not everybody can charge at home, but 60% of the population can, which means that if EVs are selling in the last year in the UK, was it somewhere around about 22%? That means that there's another 40%, 60% can, and we're nowhere near that. And I know a lot of people, myself included. I lived in a flat and I sorted it out so I could charge in my flat, and lots of people who live in terraced houses are doing the same. I'll show you a video because I think it explains it much better than I can about the gully system. So there's all kinds of solutions. I've had comments from people that say that it's all very well saying you can't charge at home, but you can if you look at some of the different alternatives that are being made. Also, tell your employer that there's a grant to install EV. Also, talk to your council about getting EV chargers on the street. There's all kinds of solutions. There are people with solar panels, got too much energy. They're offering, with a parking space, they're offering you to be able to charge at their place. So if you can't charge at home and you really want to, there are solutions. So I hope if just one person watching this thinks, I wonder, let's have a look into that, that would be absolutely great, because I'm being called an EV evangelist, but then again, I don't live in the Ice Age, and anyone who resorts to calling me that in the comments, I know exactly where they're getting their information from, and they just haven't got any decent arguments left anymore. Hope you've liked this. Hope you maybe can subscribe and like. That'd be fantastic. It's great for the channel. I'd love to get to 2,000 subscribers. That would be absolutely brilliant. I might even retire then, I don't know, and live off my earnings of 50p a week of all the 200 or so videos I've made. I had this email today from Tesla saying you can get a Model 3 from £225 per month. Cash price has also never been cheaper, much cheaper than when I bought mine. Thank you very much for joining. Please leave a comment below. Please don't call me an evangelist, or I'll call you an Ice Age warrior. But to all those people, thanks to all my subscribers, really do appreciate it. And love to hear about your experiences from owning an electric vehicle, and especially if you live in a terraced house or you live in a flat. If you can charge, and please tell me what you've done about it, and that would be fantastic, and what your experiences have been. P battery is kind of good because you can charge to 100%. And also, you might say, oh yeah, what about the environment? What about those poor African kids having to mine cobalt? Well, there's no cobalt in an LFP battery, and it can all be recycled, and no one's ever thought of a way of recycling a gallon of petrol. I've just talked too much. Love you all, take care, and see you next time. Bye.